So for the purpose of this lesson, I'm going to use this graphic liner, Auto Graphic Liner 0.3. What I want to suggest is for you to start using your most natural angle to draw, which is, for me, right-handed person, this is the most natural way to draw. Or I go diagonally this way, and then as I go down, I go a little bit wider, and then so trying to keep it within a kind of box, I create what is called a calm line, or lines rather. A calm line is one where you try to create the line with a lot of relaxed precision. And then you see what direction, when you go horizontally like this, what happens if you go slow? What happens if you go fast? And then see what happens if you go up and down, vertically, slow, and then fast. So this is to check in terms of your movement, your wrist movement, what is comfortable. So in terms of vertical lines, this is comfortable. This height is comfortable. If I was to go down beyond this, I'd have to move my wrist down, and it's not as comfortable. As opposed to the horizontal line, I can go a lot longer because I don't have to move my wrist whatsoever. Just go straight across. All I have to do is lift my pen up and down. So I can lift my pen, bring it down, lift my pen, down, lift, down, and so forth. So you can sort of, this is just finding out your really natural comfortable drawing positions. The next thing, we're going to carry on to trying to make curved lines with your comfortable position. So this is going from top to bottom, going down this way. See to what degree is comfortable for you in the longest line you can make with your wrist turning. So the bottom of the palm of your hand is actually on the paper, and you're basically doing a turn, but not your entire arm, but more up and down like this. Yeah? So this is mine. As I figure this out, I can go upwards also. So I find that when I'm doing this, the upward motion is sort of not as good or not as comfortable as the going down one. I have way more control to go downwards than I do going upwards. Now, this is important and very useful for you when you're going to use ink to draw. Yeah, so this is definitely way better than that movement. So not too much here, definitely more better here. And now we're going to try and see if you can do a whole circle comfortably in one go. Doesn't have to be exact. And then see if you can do it in two movement. 1, 2. Then do it again smaller. 1, 2. So the purpose of this is to figure out where it is comfortable for me to start. What point do I start here? Or do I start here? What's comfortable? Maybe it's easier to start backwards versus forward. So this is all really good exercises for you to figure out what is comfortable. So comfort first. Next, we're gonna go to this exercise where we're gonna make little swatches of lines. So I've prepared here boxes. You can do this with masking tape, and you can start from the left to the right, or you can start at any point. But what I'm doing is to have a whole row of something very similar. So if I start in the middle, and I'll start with the comfortable line, relaxed, comfortable lines. Notice which direction again is easier for you, makes sense to you, which is left to right or right to left. So once I've done this, I've done a few like this. Maybe I'll do a few more just up here. So when you saturate the lines in one area and less on the other area, you get this sort of value system. It looks darker there and it looks lighter here. So if I do this again, but I'll do it with much faster movement. Notice the quality. It's a very different quality to that one. And then if I want to be careful, I can slow down. But if I want to be more rigorous, more energetic, I can actually move a lot faster. And I will get this much more interesting, more energetic lines. So go around and play with this. After I've done that, I might do one that is up and down, calm, collected and calm. I'm going to saturate one side. Contrasting value, or rather gradation of value, going from left to right. And then I might do one more here where it's faster. Now figure out when I'm doing it faster, is it better going up and down, or is it better going down, up? Maybe it's good to do both. Top, down. For me, this is comfortable. And then I'll do one more in the lines of where I do the opposite direction. calm lines versus so I find this very, very counterintuitive and quite uncomfortable. So that's normal, comfortable. This is quite, it requires you to be more, give it more attention, right? Otherwise you'll be wiggling through this line. So in this case, what I normally do is you can turn your body around so that this is more comfortable. Right now, I just move my body 45 degrees slightly this way. So this is now up and down, down and up. This is more comfortable for me. So this is a process of figuring out your comfort zones and then figuring out directionally what is natural to you. Right, and then you can do another one somewhere else, faster. This is a good angle. If I want to do it faster, in a different angle, you see I'm actually not that great. This is not the greatest angle for me if I do it faster, because my lines are not going to be straight. And I tend to repeat in the same place, so I get this really uneven lines, quite different in that one. So if I move my body slightly to the right, I can actually do a much better job. So these are all notable things. Unnatural direction, natural direction. The next thing I'm going to do is to curve lines. So very similar as before, we're going to do curve lines down and up or up and down. See, do this a few times and you can sort of feel which one is more comfortable. For me, both are equally uncomfortable. So in order for this to be more comfortable for me, I have to turn my body left side so that my arm is perpendicular to my body, and it'll be more comfortable to do curved lines as opposed to straight like this. And then I'll do one quite quickly. Let me do one that's concave. So naturally, when I'm doing concave lines, notice that I am doing this line coming and going. So I'm not going from one direction, I'm going from both directions. I find this to be fastest and most useful and most effective to do curved lines like this. So this to me is the most comfortable. Again, following through this movement, perpendicular or diagonal movements are most comfortable. That's not comfortable. Yeah. So you can do another one where you literally are doing one line at a time in a calm way. So if I have to do a precise line, this is okay. This angle is okay. But if you want me to do more vigorous or more expressive line, it's a lot easier to do it this way, where I go back and forth as opposed to up, up, or down, down. Okay, so the next one, I think I'm going to see if I can do a somewhat circular counter position. So I'll start with a circle, going in one continuous line until about there, and then carrying on with that line, left to right, right to left. Not worrying too much about precision or correctness, just feeling what this does. As I go lower down into my hand, so up here it's comfortable. As I move downwards, it feels more uncomfortable. Good to know. Right, let's tackle this. So I'm going to use the maybe two of these pens, a very fine point and then a medium point, and at some point I'll probably use the black liner brush, which is going to be the thick. So there's 3 different thickness. I'm going to start with the pencil first. So first I will tackle the horizon line. And then I will simplify basically everything. So you can sort of see here that I've already done my horizon line in the wrong place. So let me fix this. It's a bit too high. Notice that this is actually wider than this. So I have to adjust it and go a little lower. Right? Precision is not a must. Then I'm gonna simplify this whole shape here into one block. So it starts about there from the top of the page, and then it comes down to about here, right? So I'm gonna lengthen it a bit more. That's the end of this tree right here. And then there's a smaller one going up that way, and there's a bunch of trees in front. So I'm gonna just simplify those into these little cones. As for these trees, you don't have to count exactly how many trees. You can sort of just work out where the stalks or the major branches might be. And as you go higher and forward, so that will be the first thing to tackle. And then when we go down here, so we had a horizontal line, and then we're gonna go horizontal from here. You see a white, very thin white line there, which would be the snow. I will go a little bit, and then I'll start going into here. So we're just drawing the white area, the area where there's snow. And then you notice that some of it goes upwards, and then back downwards, and then off the page, coming back in again, going like this, and then I'm just gonna do a curve disappearing into the edge of the space. Now, this area here, I'm also just going to simplify it into the shape where this will be the darkest part, right? And now, along all this area, there'll be more dark shapes. So what I'm going to do here is carry on a little bit more behind this little lone branch. So what I did here, if you see this lone branch, it doesn't work in this composition. So what I do is I will make the branch slightly bigger. That's all. And then here, there's a bunch of curly, whirly, dead sort of branch. this branch on the top here, I'm going to ignore for now because you can add that in later. That's quite nice and dark. So this is the big ball on the right side. Most of this part will be quite light because they're all snow, so I'm going to leave that alone. Next, we're going to do a little bit of a sky. So I'm going to do a stylized cloud just right in the middle here. And then I'll do another one up here. So this is absolutely, you don't have to be exact on this. You can play around with where you put it. It could be off the page here and off the page on here. And then maybe a little one back there. Just like that. That's it. And now we're going to go into all the little details along the trees. Okay, so now I'm going to use the mid pen and I'm going to start tackling some of the tree. But before I do that, I'm just going to put an outline of the horizon. And then I'm going to just go over the pencil line of all the horizontal soft lines here. And sometimes I look at this and I try and fix a bit more just to have it a little more. So I'm going to stop there and let that be. We'll use texture for that one. So for the tree, we can keep it simple and just like that, or maybe two next to each other. And there's one there. There's a bunch of trees in front, which I'm gonna just ignore for now. So texture of the tree, as I've gone through over before, you can keep it quite simple by adding just branches all the way down, or branches that are straight, as I said before. This is going to be a simpler looking tree. And then I'll start creating the texture over it. So this all looks kind of very sparse, giant pines. And that's one. Quite quickly, you can get a texture of a tree on like that. So I'm not really going to spend too much time on this. So I've learned over the years how to create texture fast and most efficiently. And this is how I do it. So as you see, vertical lines, horizontal lines, or even diagonal lines, this gives you the structure of where you want to hang your squiggle. It will look just slightly different, but at the same time, quite the same. So I'm going to do the same on this one. Going diagonal. Remember, trees are natural. Nature is actually very uneven, so try not to make your trees so organized or so neat. You don't have to be neat. And then as we go in here, I'll probably do another one of these. And then maybe I'll curve them slightly. There's another one here. Curve them slightly. So that's my base. sometimes if you want your lines to be more loose, either use the other hand. It's always useful to make your lines looser. Like that. What a difference. Or you can hold your pen at the back. This will give you less control over it and will make your line a lot more natural and looser. And try not to hold your pen so tightly, just hold it really loosely. So that would be the first line of attack, right? And now I'm going to go attack the back there. So these lump of trees, I'm going to do them the same way, but a lot simpler, right? The idea is to create a landscape in about an hour and a half maximum. You don't want to spend more than that, honestly. So I'm just repeating myself on doing them with the tree branches, just like that. And then I'm gonna actually just go real quick into diagonal lines. So the idea here, right, is to create something different. You want to vary it in a variety of texture next to each other that would read tree branches in the distance. And these are quite different than those. So the farther away the trees are, the more likely you don't need to do them so perfectly. So notice how much faster I'm moving. So please note, if you feel like I'm moving too fast, you can just pause this video at any time and do your thing and repeat or carry on after. So that's my tree in the background. And then behind those trees are obviously a bunch of other forest trees, but I'm going to try and make them different in terms of texture to the front of the trees, so the front of the trees kind of is visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to figure out where the edges of those trees are. Some of them are slightly lower than the tree and some of them are not, right? So those are the edges of the back of the tree. I'm just going to do very simple vertical lines. Just like that, as if I'm putting a wall or something later. So this adds a lot of contrast from the front of the tree. So I'm going to try and do the same, because these are the sort of direction that behind these trees, there's also other trees, right? So I'm going to do the same here and here, especially in between the trees when there is actually space. There you go. Just a bit, okay? Just a bit. And now let's tackle this. So this, I'm using this sort of movement. You can do both circular motion and lines, which is basically a very dry branch sticking out like that. So now I'm gonna switch pen to this one, which is slightly darker. I'm gonna do the sky. So notice when I'm using a pen over my pencil, I don't always follow my pencil. I have the freedom to change it slightly as I see fit, and usually you see more things once you've done this once before. So this is probably the 10 times I've done this kind of landscape, this particular landscape. So notice this whole area here is actually quite dark, and so is this. So using the side of my brush, I'm gonna start adding these dark spaces in a very haphazardly uneven way. So that's one. That's back there is actually quite dark. What I'm going to try and do is to mimic the reflection that you see there by not going all blocky. I'm leaving some spaces in between, like this, and as I go a lot more spread out to the back, I can be more opaque. Very thin white line there. That would actually be good if you could have that. Almost forgot about that. And then I'm going to add more darkness just at the front part here. And then it carries on a bit more on this side. And it kind of stops. So make sure when you're doing this that you're not drawing it to, there's no edge to it. You need to kind of have a spread out feeling to it. Just doing this. So this white area here is this sort of reflection that comes from the top. Right, I'm gonna do a bit more back here and a bit more back here. Just as I see it, there's actually more dark areas here. And then it kind of goes a little here and then under this, just a tad. So notice that I'm always going diagonally when I'm doing this. I'm not going to go up and down like that too much. I need to make sure that that's very asymmetrical and uneven. Okay, I think that's kind of enough for now. What I'm going to do is go back to the same pen, and I'm going to give the sky a little more texture than what it is now. So this is in the style of etchers. Oh, okay, so this pen is actually drying out, but that gives it this dried out line quality that I quite like. So just because your pen is drying out doesn't mean you have to throw it away. This is useful, especially in times like this. So I'm avoiding the inside of the clouds, but the reason why I'm doing it horizontally is so that it is absolutely the opposite of these lines, right? So that. This would be texture of the sky. And as I go up here, you can do pearls. It's as if you can see the wind, I suppose. So finally, we're gonna just add a very thin wash over our drawing with watercolor. So I'm gonna mix up green, yellow, so we want to go very light here. Consistency, I think the tea consistency would be perfect to start with. But notice, because this is a snowy mountain thing, the landscape is slightly more blue, so I'm using iridium mixed with yellow and red green to make, so viridian blue, viridian green is actually a bluer green. So mix a nice petal of this to start with, like this. Make sure that it's thin enough that you can see your palette. And then we're going to start just where the trees are, very thin. All the way down. So this is the first layer. And then the rest of this is sort of gray and purple. So I'm gonna add a bit of purple. This is my mixed purple. This is more ideal, this violet color into my green. If you don't have violet, you can add indigo blue or the darkest blue that you have, and you'll get this sort of kind of nice dusky gray, winter dusky gray. So I'm going in the darkest part of the lake all the way out that way, and then you want to water down. You mix a bit more, so this is a lot weaker. Make sure that there's a lot of white, because these are important. These are snow. Going over here, this is quite nice and dark. A little lighter as you go back this way, and then dark again here, because that's another dark area. And then use a bit of water. Actually go outside of your line a little bit, because this is after all a swamp, so that would be good. Leaving a little white there, a lot of white here, a little bit under this would be nice, and finally a bit of sky. So I'm going to use my ultramarine. And literally just a small amount is enough. With a little bit of water goes a long way, really. Okay, maybe a little bit more color. Just, oh shoot. Whoops. It's okay. If your cloud is actually going over your sky is bleeding over your clouds a little bit, that's okay. And then go back to your darkest green, and what I'm going to do now is do a second layer on the back of this tree. just adding dark shadow. Back of the tree. So I think I can add a little more darkness here. So what I'm going to do is add more purple in my mix. So mine is a violet color. And as I go like this, I will just drop it in. So my paper is 100% cotton. While it's still wet, it goes very, very far to spread the color. So this side is a little drier, this side is not. That's beautiful. Even if it's doing that, that actually is quite nice. Bit of bleeding doesn't hurt at all. So in the front of these trees, I would actually add a bit more dark color because the reference shows this is a little bluer too. And a bit more green. There's a second layer here. A little reddish sort of tone here. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna tone that down because that's a little bit too warm. And tone it down with the same purple. So it's just a hint of brown, but not really much. That's kind of, that's it. That's all you have to do. Thank you for watching. See you next week.